Welcome everyone to the third Thursday meetup of the West Orlando WordPress Meetup group. I'm Rob Watson, a co-organizer and host. West Orlando WordPress is an official WordPress meetup group affiliated with the WordPress Orlando and WordCamp US meetup groups. This presentation is for beginners to intermediate users of WordPress who don't have an effective website growth plan and need a refresher. It's a great way to prepare for the fourth quarter to get a head start and take advantage of the holiday season, which has the most online activity of the year. In this session, we will cover creating a plan using proven frameworks that help streamline the time it takes to build sustainable WordPress websites that scale. The topics taught apply to bloggers, content creators, small businesses, freelancers, and almost anyone looking to build a results-driven online business with WordPress. These topics include determining clear goals, staying market-focused, personalizing from design guidelines, creating a great user experience, and building a future-proof web system. Known as the Fresh Prince of WordPress, Maestro Stevens is an international speaker and brand webmaster with a decade of industry experience. He is also the owner of the Iconic Expressions, a creative web agency, and the founder of a startup called iconictemplates.com. Maestro's acumen spans digital marketing and brand strategy, web development, and project leadership, having steered many small businesses toward landmark achievements. Outside of his professional prowess, Maestro cherishes fatherhood and relishes the simplicity of smart technology that brings to life alongside his passions for culinary arts, literature, music, and travel. At this point, I'd like to invite everyone to mute their microphones for the presentation. And Maestro, thank you for being our presenter this evening. The time is now yours.
All right. Well, thank you for that intro and having me here with you all today. It's been an honor, and it is an honor to have gone through this process. It's been a while since I have spoke at a local meetup, so I guess you guys get to see if I got my chops back up, but we're going to see how this goes. Let me know if you can hear my sounds here, but I definitely want to give a shout out to everybody who has joined.
We can hear you just fine.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right. As long as you can hear me, you can hear my sounds, then we're going to get the show started. But that's how I like to do my presentations. I just don't like to present. I like to put on a show. This is a performance, so we're going to be edutained, if that makes any sense to y'all. I'll take a look at the chat when I can. So for this presentation, we're going to talk about streamlining your WordPress web strategy for scalable websites. And let me start off a little bit with a little bit of our history. So, and this was actually kind of brought to my attention. I didn't have these slides before, but I was brought to my attention. I need to add a little bit of about us. But our history, I started the Iconic Expressions in 2015. And started building WordPress websites in 2020. So I'm saying this to say, y'all, I ain't no veteran. I know some of y'all in here, Sue, I ain't gonna say no names, people who've been doing this for a long, long time. I'm gonna shout some names out to y'all, but people who've been doing this for a long, long time, I'm a newbie in it, but at the same time, I'm not so new or I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been here for a little while. And then I started our first template platform in 2022, and that was from the brink of using the foundation of Cadence templates or Cadence Cloud and creating templates with those. And then spoke at WordCamp EU and US and spoke at WordCamp Asia this past March as well. But I didn't put that on here yet. I haven't updated this. And I won't go through this since this was already read. So I didn't expect, I've never seen my face on a person's background before. I feel a little narcissistic, like I didn't ask for that. But hey, shout outs to West Orlando Meetup for that. Appreciate y'all. So let's talk about determining goals. Let's start with and this is the way I like to present things. I like to give you all the concept. I like to give you all the process, and I want to give you all the tools. So you're going to see those three things. And if you don't see those three things, let me know. But I'm telling y'all, I don't like to lie because we ain't got time for that. So we're going to start with the first, and then I'm going to show you when we get to the end how the first and the last are interconnected together. And if you ain't got them two things together, everything else in the middle don't even matter. So when it comes to determining goals, we want to make sure that we are looking at goals from a holistic perspective. So website goals, I'm just going to read this verbatim, and then I'm going to give y'all my down low definition of it. Okay. Website goals are specific objectives that a website aims to achieve, which guides its design, content, and development. These goals are aligned with the broader objectives of the business or organization that the website represents. So in other words, you need to understand that your goals are your overall target of where you want to go to, where you want to end up. Where's the destination? If we taking a road trip, where are we going to end up on that road trip? Because there's a lot of paths, a lot of cars, a lot of miles. Where are we ending up? And how does that align with the vehicle, which your WordPress website is supposed to be a vehicle, not the end game? So I like to think of things from a SMART goals perspective, and I think most of us here have heard of this acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. However, I just wanted to remind you that that's how we like to think of things. If it's not a very specific goal that has numbers and has dates and has reasoning and whys behind it, then it's probably not that good of a goal. You know, you probably want to rethink that goal. So some goal examples are some structures, frameworks for some goal examples. This is very simple. I'm purposely making this 5th grade elementary style in this particular, trust me, once we start flowing, we gonna start going. But right now, we gonna ease into it. But I want to keep it simple for right now. So a goal example can be, you want to help people to do this, XYZ, you want to generate XYZ in sales, you want to become known for something, you want to gain X amount of members to your X platform, or you want to gain subscribers and signups. So just different prompts to give you examples of the goals. Now let's be like Alice in Wonderland and get a little deeper down the rabbit hole. So some actual goals examples. And I don't know if y'all ready. I got some corny jokes. Sometimes they gonna stand, sometimes they gonna fall. We gonna rock tall. We gonna make sure we have it all. Let's get it going. So when it comes to some goal examples, we got e-commerce. And I'm not going to go too deep into all of these. You guys can take a snapshot of the picture of this, but I want to keep it going. So we have e-commerce goal examples for monthly sales. We have cart abandonment. We have customer base. The key here is you see some type of measurable outcome with a number behind it in a time duration. That's a start of a good goal. Doesn't have to add too much to it. Some blog examples for bloggers out there. So average session duration is what we're making this goal by. Email subscribers, social media shares, right? Rising up our social media shares by a certain percentage by the next quarter or over the next how many equal amount of months. So these are just examples of goals that you want to start with. And that's why I said in the beginning that the beginning and the end are going to be the two things that tie together more than anything. And I think that these are the things that are more overlooked, especially for WordPress users, because we be so deep in the weeds and all the technologies and stuff, we forget about the actual purpose of the website. Just keeping it funky. So speaking of, let's stay focused. How do we stay focused and market focused? I'll give you some examples. First, we want to think about, see this mouse button, I'm used to using the being in the Canva, but I wanted to do the presentation version. But learning your industry and competitors. When it comes to your industry competitors, you want to look at a few different tools. I kept it very simple as far as not a framework, but just a structure. You know, you want to think of competitor 1, competitor 2, competitor 3. Okay, this factor, this other second factor, this third factor. What are those factors that you can say about 3, 4, 5 competitors that would make sense to you? You don't have to make it overcomplicated, but you need to do that because that's going to give you some indication of where you want to go with the website. Then when it comes to the tools that you can use, some of my favorite tools, my tried and true, these are my gems, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this ain't ChatGPT. They're not, I'm just coming up with stuff at the top of my head. Now, everything I'm showing y'all, I've been using these things for years. But NAICS, so using your NAICS code. If you are living in the US, I know we are West Orlando, but I know we have worldwide capabilities coming into this meetup, right? So NAICS is going to be more for the US. It's a special code that the US has as they classify industries and businesses and sectors. Start there with the NAICS. And then you want to go to Data USA. That's another free source right here. We also have Built With. So Data USA is more about other industries, and it takes a whole bunch of data and aggregates all these free sources and puts in these nice looking charts and graphs. Data USA, I'm telling y'all, gold. Built with. If you ain't heard of built with, I don't know where you've been with, but built with. I don't know if it went past your head again, but built with. Technology, one of my technology tools. I love this. This is how people say, how did you know what I had on my website? It's a spy tool. Great thing to know, how you can see your competitors and see other people and see your website. Built with. And then IBIS is another great tool as well too. This is a worldwide, it's one of my favorite market research report tools. The free reports are expensive, but the free information they give you, I'm talking about golden. I mean, it's irrefutable evidence if somebody try to argue what is and what ain't. Show them the facts. So other parts of learning the competitors. Just here's some of the factors, examples. I gave you examples of some factors from a, dumbed down, but here's more of a sample of some other factors: business model, value proposition, their pricing, just things like that. And then you want to put it in a spreadsheet and just mark it like column and row and create the your competitors that way. So when it comes to target market research, here are a couple other tools that I love to use. This is, and I didn't put some of the, I should have added some of the text to it, so that's my fault, but I'm gonna let y'all know what it is. But this is Nielsen. That's how I say it. Every time I say it in my head, I see a little kid saying Nielsen in that way. But this is Nielsen, one of the best market research data aggregators in the world. If you want to get some free reports, go there, Nielsen. Claritas. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. So if you're wondering why, I put a little Española in my, that's what I'm just letting y'all know, give y'all some history now, but this is Claritas. Now I'm saying it the American way. And this is another great market research tool, but more for local research. They have some really great free market research reports. I'm talking about great reports that you cannot deny, free. Then you have Facebook Insights. Facebook Insights has been like 5 years, 10 years ago, it was dope. Now it's a little, I don't know. It's a little weak. And then Google Forms. So actually surveying. So you have all these other research tools. You can always use these tools to help give you a head start. But the best information is the information you're going to get from your people. What are they really saying? And then you want to combine that together and look for some of these demographics, geographics, psychographics. Some of this stuff I know is overview for y'all, but I'm going through it because trust me, we're going to get to the point because this is a journey. We are on a journey. Alice in Wonderland. Y'all know, y'all have seen it. I'm the Mad Hatter. All right, so more target research here. Age, gender, income status. We've seen these factors: occupation, interest, lifestyle. If you're going B2B, company size, firmographics type stuff. And then their needs and challenges, their pain points, their buying motivations. Why is this stuff important? Because once we get to the functions and features area of creating a website strategy, since this is what this is all about, if your website strategy, function, features ain't supporting what people's challenges and what their motivations are, what are you doing? I'll pause that for a second. What are you doing? Because it's your website's supposed to be for them, not for you, unless you're your best customer. And if that's the case, well, then you're pouring in a lot of money just to, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, what are we doing here? So these things have to match up with the tools that we use and the experience people have on our website. If they don't, what are we doing? So then we get into the activity tracking and analysis. I'm going to look at my chat because now I'm going to add a little bit of engagement, right? Meaning I'm curious on, do y'all know some of these tools? Because some things I think y'all are sleeping on, some things I think y'all know about. But I'm curious on this particular section when it comes to, sorry, and Zoom is so crazy because you got to move all these different widgets and stuff like that out the way. You got to move this widget, that widget, all the widgets. You got to just move out the way just to see one thing. It's crazy like that. But when it comes to this section right here, there's 3 parts of activity tracking and analysis that I'm going to go over. 3 parts, only 3 parts. What do you think that this part is referring to when it comes to activity tracking and analysis? I'm curious if anybody wants to guess. I won't take too long and I'll move forward, but just put it in the chat. Just throw it in there. But when it comes to activity tracking and analysis, I do want to just go over 3 things that I think are important for our websites. And if nobody has it in, that's all good. So this first one is going more towards the website, AKA like user, what the user's activity. So we are logging activity of the website users or people who are using the website. That is important, but that's only one layer of activity tracking. Another layer of activity tracking is project management. So these are project management tools, very popular tools that I think most of us has at least heard of one of these tools. I've used all of these tools. I lean on ClickUp now, but I've used all of these tools, and that's a second layer of tracking and analysis. And then the third layer, can anybody guess what this layer is for? These things, excuse me, this should give it away. If not, that's cool. Nope. Okay. Analytics. So the third layer would be analytics. So we have user tracking. We have, oh, I see. Okay. Think coming in late. We have user tracking. We have project management tracking, and then we have analytics tracking. People don't think of these as tracking activities, but they are things that you're tracking for the website to get built, and then for the website to be maintained and to be optimized. You can't track what you don't measure. You don't measure what you don't track. It's always that weird, like, which way does it go? I don't know. Which way did he go? Which way did he go, George? I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, now personalizing design guidelines. Let's get into some of the parts of the dressing, right? We're putting the dressing. So when we think of this part, it's more of like, what colors are the curtains of the house? What is the floor? What kind of floor? What kind of cabinet? What is the look and the feel of the wood that we're using, right? So we're looking at dressing up, styling up the house or styling up our website. That's how I'm giving it to you guys. And first things first, thinking of the fonts, the font weights, the font sizes, the heading sizes, very important when it comes to creating our WordPress website strategy. What are the alternative fonts? That's something that I don't see a lot of people think about until it's too late, meaning they have their fonts chosen or picked out for when they're in the best type of environment, AKA like their website, for instance, or using the theme of their choice or whatever the case is, whatever's giving you certain fonts. But then when you are in other platforms or other things that you would use fonts for to represent your brand, you don't have any other fonts because you don't have access to those custom fonts, right? You can't add the custom fonts. You don't have access to them. So what is the alternative font that's close to your primary and secondary fonts? Just something for you to think about. Then we have colors. So colors, I would say you get more. Well, no, because there are a lot of platforms that you only get 8 colors, 10 colors. You only get a few colors. So when we're in WordPress, we have way more flexibility. But in other places, we don't have the flexibility. So thinking of what are your colors for you being in a website environment, you being in your most optimal environment, which is your website. It's like your home, right? You have way more control because we're talking about WordPress.org, not WordPress.com. All right, I brought it back. But we talk about WordPress.org, not WordPress.com, right? So when it comes to that, we got more flexibility. With flexibility comes responsibility. That's what Uncle Ben said, Spider-Man. Watch it. Let's move forward. Imagery and icons and graphics. So thinking about your imagery beforehand, what kind of icons do you want to use? Not waiting to the last minute to go into WordPress and then you got lucky because the theme you're using has an icon library. And so you're just going to randomly start choosing icons, and the icons that you are using, they aren't even matching up with each other. That should be a part of your website strategy. Don't wait till you get to building out the website to start thinking about what kind of icons you're going to use. Icons are very important. They are the leaders of our future. Nope, that was a joke. But icons and website are very important because they give people, more signals. So people don't think of emoji as icon. An emoji is an icon. It's an icon that emotes and it evokes an emotion. It shares and it shows an emotion in one little picture. That's an icon. So icons can do a lot. They can summarize a lot of things you would say with words and an icon. And then you have patterns as well too. So graphics, patterns, even illustrations. Thinking about those things as a part of your website strategy and not waiting till you start building the website or afterward. That's what this section here is about. I'm looking at, I saw some in the chat. All right, so buttons layout and composition. So when it comes to buttons, I see this often, a little too often. And I know some little things. Some people would say, well, Maestro, you're just nitpicking. And I would say, well, maybe I am, or maybe that buttons do also indicate signals of emotion and consistency as well as action and other things. So buttons can be very, very important. If they are not very, very important, they should be very, very important. And having button consistency in your sizes, even your edges. One thing that I know really kind of grinds my gears sometimes is when I see websites when they have all different type of edges on their buttons. They have the soft edges, the hard edges, then they have the pill shape. Then they have, it's like you gotta 2 out of the 3, and if you're gonna do 2 out of the 3, have a reason for it, but 1 for the most part. But your edges, like these things. Now I ain't talking about edges with the hair. Sometimes our edges on that head. Now we got to get them edges trimmed. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes your edges ain't all lining up. So we got to make sure that the edges are right. So that way we all right. Everything is gonna be all right. Who's saying that? Don't worry about a thing. Is that Bob? All right, so creating a great user experience. All right, creating a great user experience. This is where the sitemap comes in. So I think that when it comes to the sitemap, sometimes we overlook that, or sometimes we don't. It really depends on your history with creating websites. When I'm talking about sometimes we do overlook that, I'm talking about a point of maybe you're a solopreneur or you are a blogger, a DIYer. You don't do this for other people. So you're not thinking of your website from a bird's eye view, because you are in the trees, you are in the forest, you looking at that forest, run forest, that gump in you. Sometimes you got to look at it from the bird's eye view type of things. And that's hard for us to do when we're in the business and trying to work on the business at the same time. So agency owners, website builders, you're going to have a different perspective of why you would need a sitemap, why it's necessary. And then we are at the functions and features section. Told y'all we moving. Hope y'all still awake. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get y'all Don DeMarco. Thank y'all for being here with me today. I want to say wow, because it's just crazy how West Orlando WordPress Meetup, the wow, you know what I'm saying? But it's, hey, this has been great. Now, when it comes to functions and features, this ties back to the target audience part. Remember I said, what do they want? What are their challenges? What are their pains? If you are not adding the solution to that in this area, you're doing your website and your business a disservice, because this is your opportunity for that opportunity, because this is where you're able to say, okay, well, if you have these challenges and these pains in your general everyday life or your career or whatever, I want to help mitigate that with our website. The website is just a vehicle to get you to somewhere else you want to be. And through the process of the website being the vehicle, I want to make it even easier for you, not harder for you, because you have challenges and pains just like me. So functions are actions and processes, what users will do, download, watch something, shop, sign up, log in. And then the features are the tool, the assets on how they will do it. A form, a page, a YouTube or Vimeo video, the payment plugin, a file, right? What is the thing? It could be any of that. Think of those two things combining together like peanut butter and jelly. And that should be what's helping serve your audience when it comes to your website. I see Polo. UX design. And so when it comes to UX design, this is where we are thinking of the wireframe, and we're thinking of the customer journey, right? So that's what we're thinking of, the customer's journey, and then wireframing that out. What does the customer or the visitor or the prospect or the member, whoever it is, what do they want? What does the person coming to your website want to achieve through your website? Your website is here, y'all. Dollar bill, y'all. And I know sometimes some of y'all be trying to be like, y'all be trying to hear that sound, the ching ching sound, get right here. But you got to realize that the website is through here and they want to get to here, right here. And so you're wireframing to create that journey in between to get to there. So one of the questions, and I think I'm gonna look at it because it was a question that was pertaining to this one. Let's see, what is a good strategy? What is a good strategy to future-proof WordPress? How many plugins would you recommend? And so that's why this is I'll answer one of the questions and I'll answer a couple of other ones as well. I'm looking at it. I just my top ideas. Okay. So now we're just getting straight into the what's what. Less content, more tools. I told y'all I strive to teach with the concepts, the process, and the tools. I think when people leave those things out, they ain't giving you the juice. And I don't know how many of y'all watch movies, but you got the juice now. So I'm trying to give y'all the juice. And that's what we got to do. Here's the juice. Now, I can and I still do vouch for a lot of these tools. I don't use all of these tools still, because some things I use alternative, but everything on this list I have used or I still use. I still love. For instance, instead of ACF, I use Metabox, but I know ACF is very popular. I also use ACF too when it comes to building our templates. So ACF is a great tool. Solid Security, WP Vivid, SureCart. So we're looking at security plugins and backup plugins, e-commerce plugins, caching plugins, your video player plugin, your page building, your hosting, right? Your CDN. This is all in tandem with your tech stack. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. Is that how they say it? Exhaustive list? I've heard people say that. This is not a complete all list. I'm just giving you guys ideas, but this is a list of a lot of the things that you'll be thinking of when it comes to your tech stack. And so I gave you the actual tool, but the words that I was saying was the category. Think about the category that you're looking to set up. Then when it comes to content and SEO, we have Google Trends, Google Search Console, Google Ads, YouTube, Google PageSpeed Insights. You see, I have a lot of Google on here. And as I always say, Google loves Google more than Kanye loves Kanye. And that's a lot of love.
The next episode.
You know, so we gotta understand how you gotta play the game sometimes. And playing that game means if you talking about SEO, like if you talk about SEO, I feel like Allen Iverson, when they was asking him about, now I don't know if some of y'all don't watch basketball, this is gonna go over your head. That's okay. This ain't for you. But it's a famous Allen Iverson line where he was being asked about practice because he wasn't going to practice. And Allen Iverson is a basketball player. And Allen Iverson, like, we talk about practice. Practice. We talk about practice. We talk about not a game. We ain't talk about the game. We talk about practice. Not a game. Like, we ain't talk about the game. We talk about practice. That's how I feel. If you talk about SEO and you ain't talk about Google, what are you talking about? Like, well, they own 86% of the internet, of the internet, if not more than that, 90 something. It don't matter. They own the internet search engine market share. The word S stands for search. The word E stands for engine, and the O stands for, y'all know it already. So it's like, if we ain't talking now, you can have your quarrels with Google. That's okay. We all got our beefs with everything, right? But we really talk about SEO. If you talk about SEO with Bing and Yahoo, that's a small pool of market share. And then we have other tools for our WordPress website, like Rank Math, Ubersuggest, and Ahrefs. There's SEMrush, and then there is Gemini and ChatGPT. So this list right here, if you only use these tools and only use a couple of them, your content and SEO game can be on point, because Gemini and ChatGPT could write the content for you. Google, again, loves Google, so they give you the tools and they give you the market, they give you the real estate. That's all we're trying to do, is fight for real estate. Let's be honest, y'all. It's like real world. We just trying to fight for the real estate online, right? We just trying to be, hi, I'm here. We're just trying to be visible. That's all we're trying to do, is fight for real estate. So using Google to fight for real estate, and then using these other SEO tools that also integrate with Google. I don't know any major SEO tool that anytime you log in and set it up, it ain't asking you for your Google something. Next thing you know, they're gonna be asking y'all for y'all social security number and y'all passport numbers, but they asking you for Google something, right? They playing the game too. And then we got analytics and feedback and optimization. So when it comes to, and this is a slide that you've already seen before, but now we're bringing it back, because now we have Microsoft Clarity, Google Search Console, Analytics, Google Analytics, and Matomo, for those who don't want to use Google Analytics, but you still need to be collecting and handling your analytics. You can still use a different analytics tracking tool, right? Versus Google Analytics, but also still be aiming to gain traction using Google in the search way. So they're not all one and the same, and we all have to understand that, or else we're missing out on opportunities. You know, it's just the fortunate or unfortunate way. And then we have more feedback here. So collecting feedback, we already talked about it before, but we talked about it again. Feedback can be collected through Microsoft Clarity, Userback, Hotjar, SurveyMonkey, Google Forms. These are all different forms of feedback. Microsoft Clarity and Hotjar are great forms of heat maps, user recordings. So you don't always got to bother people or lean on all of your users answering your questions to know what they're doing. You can spy on them with your own tools. And these are not tools that Google Analytics is going to give you the same type of detail and information with. So these are tools that are going to be way better than Google Analytics when it comes to that type of detail. Being able to see actual recordings of your users on their sites, that's what Hotjar and Microsoft Clarity does. Being able to see heat maps. Google Analytics doesn't give you heat maps. How far are people scrolling down on the website? Click maps, where are they clicking? Google Analytics don't give you that either. So you want to pair these things. And then you want to use that with people, you surveying people, people answering your questions. That's a better way to say it. People answering through your questions, right? They're answering your questions. So that's the key thing when you add them all together. And then optimization. So you wrap that all up. Like y'all ever wrap up a nice, now I don't eat bacon no more, but man, oh boy, what would I do for a nice bacon BLT wrap right now? Woo! But yeah, you wrap it all up together and then you get this optimization process going. You have all the information you need. You've been tracking. You started off with your goals, what you wanted. At the same time, you had to think about what your users wanted, because if your users don't have alignment with what you want, well, then you're going to have a nobody wants, a no want, a don't want, and you don't want that. That's something you don't want either. So whatever your goals are, they got to align with your audience in some way, shape, or form. And having all that in between stuff with the tech and the design and all the look and the feel, you have to wrap all that up, get that feedback, what really happens, and then think about optimizing your website. Create a task list. What are the tasks you're going to do? What are the things you have to do? Who's going to do it? Is it going to be all you? If it's going to be all you, you need to know all of the tasks, how to do all the tasks. If it's not going to be all you, you need to know who's doing it. And then when is it going to get done? Is it funny how we're going back to them goals? What is it? Who going to do it? When is it going to get done? If we ain't going to say when it's going to get done, you might as well not even have a list of things to do, because this is going to overwhelm you. And then you're going to be bothering people for no reason. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to be bothered for no reason.
Time for that.
We ain't got time for that. So that's why I'm saying task, people, or role, or who, and the time, date, calendar. Put it in there. All right. So that is pretty much it as far as the presentation is concerned. But I definitely want to show you the overall connection real quick before I end it, and say that, remember when I talked about determining your goals, because now you're looking at it from the bird's eye view, right? How often do you look at the slides and look at everything from the bird's eye view? You'd be looking at one slide at a time. Now you can see it all. This is, don't do that. Don't you hate when okay. This is being able to see from a very fundamental standpoint, the path of building a website strategy, right? Being able to create something that is going to be scalable. So going back to answering the question, how do you future-proof? And how many plugins would you recommend? Well, you future-proof it by doing this and not skipping no steps. You skip some steps, well, how you going to proof the future if you got holes in your boat? How you going to get to the island? What you going to do, roll faster? You sinking. You got to slow it down. Plug the holes up. We be trying to roll so fast to the island because we sinking as entrepreneurs and business owners, creators, professionals, especially with deadlines and building with WordPress, that we don't be plugging the holes up. So we just try to roll to the island faster, and then we get tired. By the time we get to the island, the destination, we ready to die. Like we so tired, we burnt out. So plugging them holes up, that's how I will future-proof it, by using some type of strategy like this. And then as far as plugins wise, I would say that really all depends. I know that's a generic question. I'm starting off with that. I wouldn't go over 20 if you don't need it. If you don't need it, don't go over 20 plugins. If you only need like 10 to 20, I think you're probably gonna need at least 5 to 10 at minimum, unless you're gonna have a bare bone site. Depends on how big your site is, how robust it is. 10 to 20 is a good rule of thumb. Once you get to 20 to 50, you better have your hosting and your optimization, your caching better be on point. If your caching ain't on point, your hosting ain't on point, then you hurting yourself. You're killing yourself, Smalls. And then how do you factor speed into large websites? So going to that point I just made, I would say caching and hosting. I've never built a huge enterprise site that's 100 pages or 500 pages or 200 pages or even 90 pages. I've never built a site like that. So I can't give authentic, answer to that, but I can say there is a general rule of thumb. How you make $100,000 is the same way you make $1 million. You just do 10 times more. People think it's like harder to make $1 million once you make 100. They say, no, it gets easier to do things once you've already done the fundamental things because you just keep reapplying. That's what scaling is. You're getting more out without having to put as much in. That's what scaling is all about. And then what's another question? What are the top 3 ways? So what are the top 3 ways you identify the top leads? That was the one that threw me off. I wasn't sure as far as, because this is more about website strategy. But if I were to tie it to the top 3 ways I identify the top leads, I would go to looking at target audience, your target market. If you're identifying who your top leads are, it's looking at your target market and then looking at your analytics, look at your KPIs. Now we're going to use the nerd term, we're going to use the jargon terms. I try to give the simple part, but now we got to go a little deeper. So yeah, your KPIs and your key performance indicators that are leading to your website goals. Even more specific, your conversion goals, or I think Google Analytics now calls them key events. So they used to be called conversions in Google Analytics, now they're called key events. So whatever those are, whoever's hitting your key events, like your key things, I would say those are probably some good leads. I could be wrong. And then I'm looking to learn some basic strategies to implement in my client websites. Well, if you ain't learned no basic strategies in this, I don't know. I ain't do my job right. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. So going back to the last slide, I have a planner that pretty much is this same thing. If you're interested, and you can scan the QR code there, and it leads to this website here. It's a free planner that pretty much has all the things I talked about today. Was there any other questions that?
Thank you so much. This was amazing. I got so much out of this, and I got a lot that I can apply to current situations that I'm working on. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.